name's Tyler Brown. I'm an offensive lineman here at Colorado. I'm I'm part of the second wave of transfers that's appealing the decision. Of course, I respect your decision. I'd like to explain the circumstances from my point of view of why I feel like I should be able to play. So I originally started my career at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. I was originally recruited by the late coach DJ Looney and Rob Sale. In fact, I met DJ at a football camp the summer before my senior year. So it was a camp I didn't want to go to. I was at Mississippi College, and my mom forced me to go that day. And it happened to be the best decision for me because I immediately clicked with Coach Sale and Coach Looney, and they saw something in me. And 3 days later, they offered me. But DJ, he meant the world to me. He recruited me from high school to Louisiana. It's like that was the guy. That was my person. He talked to me almost every day, texted me every day, called my mom, everything. And then when I got to Louisiana, we had the freshman skit days, and everybody said that we were so much alike, so they called me Lil Looney. That was my nickname. They said we walked alike, we talked alike. I was always with him. We were like freaking frack. They said we had the same hairline. And this was all my freshman year. And as you know, I've always struggled with my mental health. In fact, at Louisiana, that's when I was first diagnosed with anxiety and depression. It was just really, really hard going to college a year earlier than everybody else. I was younger, and there's just so much pressure. I've always loved the game of football. It's just on this level, it took so much more out of me. But it's always been my dream to continue to play football. It was just, I went through a really, really hard time. I had a really, really hard upbringing. So I had a mental health crisis the week before Halloween, my freshman year in 2019. DJ called me and he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No, I'm not okay." And they immediately stopped me from playing. He made sure I got the help I needed, made sure I was with the right counselors, the right therapists, with the right medication. And he was just there. He was my rock. DJ was my rock my freshman year, and he's the reason I'm still playing today. So COVID happens, and we come back. And I left some stuff at DJ's house, and the first thing I noticed was he's always struggled with his weight, but before COVID happened, he lost all that weight. And when I came back, the first thing I noticed was he gained a lot of weight. I was just thinking, maybe he's gonna work it off. He'll be okay. We always crack jokes. He was a jokester. He's a very funny guy to be around. And the week before he passed, Coach Sale, my offensive line coach, and Coach Lee, they were like Batman and Robin. They worked together. He got on me really, really bad. And it was so bad to the point where, like, DJ and I, we sat on the phone. Just 3 days before he passed, we sat on the phone for an hour and a half, just talking. And I was so mad because I felt so misunderstood. But DJ understood me. He really understood me. And I felt like if anybody got me, he got me. So we talked on the phone I remember I was sitting in my room in Lafayette, Louisiana, and we talked on the phone for an hour and 30 minutes, and I was so mad. I was so upset, and we just talked. And that was the most honest conversation I'd ever had with a male figure to that point in my life. And August 1st, 2020, we had mini camp practices. So they didn't call it fall camp, but it was practice. We were practicing earlier than we should be. And it was early in the morning. It was an early morning day. we changed it. We practiced in the morning. So it's so hot in Louisiana. You can't practice in the evening. And so we were at about period 4 or 5 of individual, and DJ, we were doing pass protection drills. And right before the bell rang, this is probably a bit too much, but so as an offensive lineman, you're supposed to strike the bag a certain way. And DJ was just coaching me up on how to strike the bag. And the horn sounds, first go to the next period, run all the way down the field. We go to run, and he falls flat on his face. And we thought he was joking. We thought it was a ha-ha moment. And we go around and we look at him, and I look in his eyes, and there's nothing there. It's just white as a ghost. There's nothing there. And we're screaming for the trainers to come. And he wasn't moving, wasn't responding, and they were doing everything they could. And I just cried. I cried because I want him to make it, and I felt like it was my fault, because I felt like if I hadn't put so much pressure on him, if I hadn't been too much, maybe he'd still be here. Or maybe he wouldn't be in this position. He wouldn't be on the ground like that. And so practice ends, of course, and 2 hours later, they call us to the stadium in the middle of the field, and they tell me he passed away. It was about 12:30, 1 o'clock. That hurts me to this day. So August 1st, every year, I'm always sad, because that's the day I lost my father figure, my first father figure. Died, passed away in the football facility, in our indoor practice facility. And that still traumatizes me to this day. It still affects my mental health. I can still see him fall to the ground, and I could still see the nothingness in his eyes. They were just white, like there was just nothing there, and the mouth wide open, and I see it. I can see it in my sleep. I see it when I'm awake. I still see it. That's just an image it doesn't go away. And that was a really, really hard year on me, mentally, emotionally, physically. Having to practice in the same, because Louisiana's so hot, having to practice in the same place that my coach died every day. That beat my mental health. It was hard. Every day was hard. Every single day was hard. Football was therapy, yes. It's just, being at Louisiana, I knew I couldn't be there anymore because DJ wasn't there, and felt like something was missing. Every time I walked in there, every time I walked into practice, every time I walked in the meeting, I didn't hear his voice, I didn't hear him goofing around, I didn't hear him joking. And then every time I go in the indoor, I had to see him fall over and over again. And we just had to keep on practicing, and we were trying to honor his memory, but it's just, we only had 3 days to mourn, and then we were back at practice. So when that happened, that Coach Sale and I, we got really, really close after DJ passed. Our relationship, it blossomed. It got to the point where I saw, we were almost as close as DJ and I were. Coach Sale ends up taking another job, and that crushed me because I'd lost both guys that I was close to at that point now, and I knew with DJ passing away in that indoor, I couldn't do it anymore. And then with Coach Sill not being there, I really couldn't be there anymore. And then I got injured that fall. I tore both my labrums and both my shoulders, and I had to rehab. But by that point, I was already checked out the door. I knew that mentally this wasn't where I needed to be anymore. Emotionally, this wasn't where I needed to be anymore, because I wasn't happy. I wasn't healthy. It was every day just trying to tough it out and just trying to do it for Coach Looney. And I just knew that I needed a fresh start. Mentally, I was drained. Mentally, I was at my wit's end. So that spring, after I finished my rehab, I entered the transfer portal. And thankfully, a lot of schools offered me. Kansas, Indiana, Boston College, Tulsa, schools I'd never even heard of or knew about. But I just knew that something about Coach Prime, and I needed to go home. I knew I needed to go home to mentally just recover and be around my family. I went to Jackson State. I picked Jackson State out of all those schools because that was the best place for my mental health. I needed to be home again. I needed to be around my family again. I needed to be with people. I didn't need to be in a strange new environment. And that really, really helped my mental health. That being there helped my mental health to slowly but surely come back to normal. Being with Coach Prime helped to build my confidence. When I had an anxiety attack, he didn't judge me. He didn't look at me differently. I was still his rock. I was still his guy. He took me under his wing, treats me like one of his own kids. Loves me for me and accepts me for me. And so for me, I feel like with the circumstances I dealt with at Louisiana, I had to leave. I couldn't be there anymore. And it wasn't, things aren't going my way. No, things would have gone great, but mentally and emotionally, I couldn't be there anymore. I couldn't be in the same place where the guy that was my father figure died. That to me was it was too much. Every single day I would go to the same building where he passed away. That I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it anymore. So, and then at Jackson, again, my mental health is something I struggle with. It's something I deal with every day. Some days are better than others, but my mom had to pay out of pocket for all my care. My mom had to pay for me to go see a therapist, to go see a psychiatrist, to pay for my expensive medication that I take. And that's a lot because she's a single parent. Well, I'm a single parent of 3 kids. And that was a lot on her. And I knew it was a lot on her. I didn't want it to be a lot on her. And it was hard. It was hard, but she made it work. So I entered the transfer portal again, and an opportunity comes to come to Colorado. I had to take that chance because it's better care for my mental health, and they take care of me here, so my mom wouldn't have to do everything for me, because HBCUs don't have the funds or the resources that Power 5 schools have to be able to really take care of somebody. Here I go to PHP every single week. I go to PHP every week. I fill out the mental health questionnaires. I do everything I can for my mental health. I go to Wardenburg, which is our medical center, and my medication is taken care of for me. All the resources I need to be successful are here. And I love the game of football. The year that I had to have 2 double shoulder surgeries, 2 labrum repairs, was the hardest year of my life because I didn't have football. Instead of being there every day with the guys, being able to travel, be with the team, I was depressed. I was in a sling. I couldn't do anything. My confidence wasn't there anymore. And I felt lost because football has always been a safe haven for me. And to get that decision, that hurts because of how much I love the game, because of how much I love my teammates, because of how much I want to protect my quarterback, because of how much I want to help Coach Prime win and be successful. I don't want to go into a dark place again because I don't have football, simply because I chose to transfer a second time when really this should honestly be my first real transfer. Because of my extenuating circumstances, this should be my first real transfer. I don't want to lose football. And it's not that I know you can say, oh, you'll be able to practice with the team. That's not the same as being able to go out there and compete and help those guys win. I want to be there to help them win. And I feel like I deserve that opportunity, that chance to help my team win. Not just be a practice player, not just be a practice dummy, not just be a student, but to be there to travel with the team to help those guys win, because football is good for my mental health. Being with these guys is good for my mental health. Being with Coach Prime is great for my mental health. Being at Colorado is amazing for my mental health. And I'd be lost without football. And I don't want to have football stripped away from me simply because I had to make the best decision for me and my family.